Welcome to True Health Live, your favorite public health podcast. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and audio on your favorite podcast platforms. If you're interested in public health, then this is the space for you.
We made it.
Always something. It's always something. So welcome to True Health Live. This is take 2 of our season finale. So if you are watching us, or if you were watching us, come on back. We're here. If this is the podcast, we didn't even miss a beat.
You know nothing. You know nothing.
Madness, because I'm gonna be taking that mistake down because I listened to it a little bit and it's a little bit crazy. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can hear me?
I didn't know we were live. I don't know.
It's a little bit nuts.
Sorry.
No, I was like, I didn't even realize I couldn't be heard. And then the intro was like, now, and like it's a little bit wonky. It's a little bit.
Okay, so that'll be scrubbed from the record. Peace, Master Menelag. Peace,
Maya. Okay, great.
We did it.
So let's jump right into it because we done lost 12 minutes. We are talking about the battle plan for health, right? And we back.
Peace, Ima.
peace, everyone. And this is because this is actually our season finale. Normally we usually go until November, but having our season finale is a little early is a part of the battle plan because there's some prep that has to happen for 2024, right? So we want to share with you, some of the techniques that we actually use to plan. And this is not going to be like a whole thing where we, download this thing. There are plenty different tools and whatnot that you can use to craft your own plan or draft it the way that you want it. Some people are writers. If you want to write it down, go ahead and write it down. You can listen to this podcast over and over again and kind of figure out how you want to make yours. If you are somebody who likes to use different programs and different software, then do that. There's so many things you can do, like To-Do, Planner. There's project management tools that are free that I would say that would be helpful for battle planning and not just something that you can use when you're at work. Like they can be very, very helpful for your own battle planning and keeping you accountable to your timeline to meet the goal that you set for yourself. So, battle planning. I'm not mute, y'all. It just
That was funny.
Right, I should have said that. Y'all deaf. We're gonna keep going. And that would have been it would have been a one-sided because I think they could only hear you and not me. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that
was. It was a little freaky. I didn't realize we were live, so that was
I was like, hey, I can hear you. Hey.
But we're here now.
Yeah. So we'll start out what are some of the things that you all put on your battle plan, or share what you think a battle plan is? And if you're looking at this afterwards, feel free to add to the comments and share what some of your ideas for your battle plan are, whether it be for next year or the next 3 years or the next 5 years. Share some of those ideas. And it could be anything, and we'll go over a nice example to give you an idea of how some people do it. I know how we do it.
How we have been taught and instructed to do it. Absolutely. I'm actually curious if we all plan, right? If we use this latter portion of the year or the Gregorian to plan for the new Gregorian. So do you plan out your year and then the upcoming year? And then if you do, what categories, right? What themes do you touch on when doing so? I know everyone's going to answer that. I really appreciate the theme, right? Battle plan for health. And I know we were going to, build a little bit on how this is really germane to True Health Live, right? I know we tend to focus on whether it's mental, physical health matters, but the reality is, if we know it's such a cliche adage, but when you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And whether it's laying out your clothes the day before, the big thing you have going on, right? no matter what it is, the priority is really taking the time to set your intention, right? Taking the time to and I know we touched on it during our last segment, Chief Yuya's, I even the theme of commanding our day. If you're not waking up setting an intention for your day before your day sets the intention for you, you'll get swept into what everyone else requires of you, and get none of what you require of you, right? Even if that is just being able to stretch and commune with Yah and meditate. Those things go out of the window if you're not intentional in setting a plan. Peace, sovereign eats. So I know that that has a lot to do with why we're talking about this, right? How battle planning for health becomes really, really important to maintaining wellness.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if I have a follow up to that. I think like, yeah, that's it.
What she said.
Right, because it's like because you when you think like, well, I'm battle, what does that have to do with like healthcare? Like you just said it, like it, when we think about the things that we plan about and which we'll go over, like our finances, relationships, give me something, our health, like the
Health, yeah.
health things.
Education goals. Mm-hmm,
How
mm-hmm.
does all of that does kind of link back and filter into overall health and well-being, because what are some of the main things that we stress about, and we've talked about this on our show. We've talked about how finances definitely stress people out, how our relationship roles stress people out, because it can affect your mental health in a way where it's not good. And we know, we have seen and heard time and time and again, when you have high stress levels and you're always stressed out, it actually increases the cortisol in your body, which keeps you in that fight or flight mode, to the point where your body's like, I don't even know what to do, and it can start to affect you physically and mentally. So like, it's not just this like ambiguous, like, I don't know, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, it actually can start to manifest physically.
Right, right.
So it's yeah, don't plan to fail, because you have failed to plan. um so why don't we get into, I don't see any answers in the chat, like, what have some of
They
your
ain't planning. They ain't
right, like, what's
planning.
happening, what's going on, what's going on? No plans for 2024.
And you
um
know what? If you don't have a plan, if you hadn't historically planned, then this is a great piece, Ima Sequoia. Then this is a great opportunity for you to get a better sense of how you may be impacted, right? If you look back on 2023 and realize that you had maybe some thoughts, right? You had some wishes, and some, oh, it would be nice to get this thing done, but you didn't actually enter 2023 with a battle plan or with any sort of, you may have called it something else, but any sort of planning strategy or execution strategy,
yeah.
really, then this would be a great time for you to follow the steps of what we're going to share, so that you
Mhm.
can experience and even maybe share in 2024 what feels different, knowing that when you enter the January, right, that you know exactly what your focus should be as it pertains to your educational goals or your spiritual goals, your health goals. Like,
Yeah.
what should I read, and how long am I doing it, or what time am I carving out in my day to get these things done, to get the things that are most important to you. So, and often we don't make ourselves the most important thing to us, right? So that's a huge part of why this is connected to the mission of True Health Live, right?
Yeah. Oh, we have something in the chat.
Yay!
Go ahead. You can read it, and because I'm trying to pull this.
I'll pull it up. Looking forward to accomplishing goals helps to keep us invigorated when going about our day. Yeah, working in one's later years, yeah, has been associated with longer life expectancy in elders. Right. This is true. So just being able to work and being able to,
To
plan
do.
out what you're going to be doing
Mhm.
actually allows for you to have longer life expectancy. That's
Yeah.
really true. When I worked for a municipality for a really long time, what I realized is that those colleagues that would retire, but they had no plan, no goals for what they were going to do. They had no travel plans. They had no plans to connect with family that, to catch up. They actually would transition pretty soon after retirement. Versus the ones who have very active lives from what they share on Facebook, they seem to be living it up with the, 8 cruises a year and whatever else they.
Cruises.
I'm
That's a
being
lot.
facetious. I don't know. It might be two. Who
I'm
knows?
like,
I don't know. But they're posting a whole active life. What? Oh wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I said something. Yeah, she says she used to always use a planner, but it was more for tracking and planning short term as opposed to long term goals and planning. And I like how Master
what?
Menelek gave us that nice little blurb, but he didn't say whether he gave us some good fun facts. It was a diversion. He's like, I'm gonna put something in the chat.
Yeah.
We see you. We
Gotcha.
see you. We
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm with it. I'm with you. Come on. Let's make it happen, Master Menelek. Scaredy Cat will be there too. We'll just push her out of the plane.
I'll be holding the purses and the wallets.
If you're trusted to do that. I don't know.
Why not? Why not?
You gotta do it. You gotta be down with the family. Come on. Okay, so Master Menelik is gonna make that skydiving thing happen in 2024. I'm so excited. Every time we bring it up, I'm like, I'm ready to jump out of somebody's plane.
Yeah.
Or do the mountain. We were supposed to do something. What did Chief mention? I guess we need to put that in our battle plan. All right, because travel is actually a part of the themes that can go into your battle plan as well. I know Chief talked about wanting to scale a mountain, right? I thought we were. There are all these things that were
I
shared.
wasn't present for that.
You,
I wasn't present.
you
I was
lied.
not present for that.
No, you were also agreeing to carry the purses. That is
Like I carried a person.
designated.
Come back down. I know I would do the mountain, like rock climbing or like just like
I don't
what
remember.
mountain we talking about? We talking about
It was
Nepal, like
something.
Mount
It was
Everest.
something intense. It wasn't like Everest, but it was preparing for something intense. I don't remember the names of the said mountain. I just remember I was happy to do something adventurous.
Peace, chief.
Peace, Lugal. So he's been here from the very beginning. For those who were paying full attention, thank you. There's the question. What was the question again?
Your own words for those others, not me.
Oh, right. Yeah, so that
It
makes
was
more.
the question. The question was, what are some of the things that you're planning for? I think
That was not the question. Let me help you out.
You might have to rotate.
The question was, did you do a battle plan for 2023? And if so, what themes did you cover?
What she said. It just that whole snafu earlier just messed up the whole flow. So now
That's okay. It's teamwork. It's teamwork.
We going with what's happening. Peace, Margie Marie. Peace, how are you?
Peace, March.
Leave that to the host. Messenger said, "What? You'll leave that for the host so that you don't step on our toe." Listen, we may need help because I don't know when the sound may go out again. I don't know what that was. You're not about that life. I think you're being challenged. Are you gonna?
We gonna see. We gonna see.
I'm
ready. I'm ready to do it.
Oh, was you, Chief? You're being asked a question. Oh no, you're not. She was
answering the question.
Not even what
Imanaya remembered. Safti Imanaya remembered the question. Thank you.
Yes. Grandmama.
Dr. Imanaya, yes.
I don't even. Yeah, I didn't. I'm off. I'm sorry. You know what? I need to like get into like these little visuals that I put up for you, and they're just very quick. So we talked about some things that you can do for your battle plan. And so this is just like a quick, like my battle plan. And you don't have to do it this way. These are literally just visuals as we kind of go through the conversation. Because, like, as I said before, if you're a writer, you may want to write. Like, some people like to do writing. I know for me, like, there's sometimes a point where I have to have like an actual calendar. I won't, it's literally sitting in front of me, but I will, yeah, and then, write to do, and so that I can get those things done. But instead of having all the paper, it is wise to, like, lessen up the clutter in our lives and use the, some of the electronic tools that are made available. But if you're, someone who needs to have like that pen and paper, because sometimes it commits it to memory a certain way, then you do that as well. Okay, so just like pulling like some really quick things. Like, what do you want? Why? Why? Why?
You know what? This is like a whole bloopers reel. This is so fun. Why? We're gonna roll with it. Who can decode what message? This is intentional, people. Who can concentrate well enough to decode what that says? Yeah. No, it's a joke. So what should that say?
So what we're talking about here is like, what is the question that you ask yourself as you're battle planning? And that question is, what do I want for my life? Right? That's a really important question. Chief says, yes, I do battle plan every year. Heck, that's where y'all got it from.
Yes, we did say that. But you heard it because you were here from the beginning. So we know you heard us say that.
We said it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ask the password. Maybe. Marjorie said it's a password.
That's the password for you. Then you know somebody's gonna try to decode that one.
Maybe it is. But he says, I taught you about battle plans, asking me about my own freaking idea. You know what? There's other people in the chat.
But thank you for your answer. Thank you for playing along.
I know those people listening are like, get to the content.
Right. While they have their pen and paper ready to take some serious notes.
With your pen and paper.
Just flow with us. Just take the ride. We're having fun.
What I want for my life, right? And that's like the want, but like, where does that doesn't necessarily get us to the full Monty, I guess. Like what I want for my life. What do I want for my life? So it really becomes not one question, but two questions. What will I do for my life? Right? So those are the two questions that we have to answer for ourselves, to take us to where we're trying to get from point A to point B, or from year 1 to year 3, or from year 1 to year 5, whatever that plan looks like for you. So like, what are some key focus areas that we can think about on, like, when we're thinking about what we want for our life? So we kind of talked about this before. So there's health, relationships, business, finance, travel, education, and so you take those spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this backstage. I was like, should we add passions? But then it's important that your passions are like woven throughout all of these, right? I do want to, because the chat is moving, so I do want to pause really quick. What do I want from my slides? Right. Chief says, and furthermore, my theme was family regeneration and re-engineering my revenue generating task. Thank you. So many courtships were done and new passive streams of income were established. I also started to implement more AI into my business tasks and research. That part, because I'm telling you, it does reduce the amount.
AI saves.
It does. I know there's like, it's gonna be Skynet. That is like the nervous Nelly in the back of my head. It's like, it's Skynet. It's the beginning of Skynet. But part of it, the other part is like, yeah, but it's down there real helpful right now. As we're trying to get things done, it helps with timing, time management, like to utilize the AI. This is a reality. Well, I'm all about the fundraising. Okay.
Oh my, because that's, yeah.
I
I don't.
don't.
You got the joke. I'll tell you off.
I
I'll
did
tell
it.
you
Okay.
later. I'll tell you
I did it.
backstage. Just
Did it.
go to the next one I highlighted.
Okay, answer. I did do a battle plan for 2023, and the theme that was covered was education in school. Awesome. And as we go through, for those of you who shared, like you can share like some of what your steps were. And like I said, this is going to be just like a bare bones, like in the visual. What we're going to do is really talk. So like as we're talking, make sure that you take notes. So like as we said, like so health, relationships, business, etc. And spiritual was left off. Not on purpose. And so some of the questions, so we go back to those two questions that we asked is, what do I want for my health? What will I do for my health? What do I want for my relationships? What will I do for my relationship? And so on and so forth, so that you can make that complete kind of movement from not just like what you're thinking about and like, desires and wants, but like how are you going to manifest it and put it into action?
So for the sake of clarity, I'm wondering, when you say, what will I do for my relationship or for any of these key focus areas, are you are you telling the listeners to consider what they're going to do in order to accomplish the set goal in that for that particular theme? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So what you want will be the goal that you set. And
They,
then what you will do will be how you will get to that
those
goal. The
objectives or
actual
steps. Yep.
action items and steps that you use to get to that what I want.
Perfect. I wanted to make sure, because I know people are taking copious notes, since very few said they had a battle plan for 2023.
And taking copious notes, then there's going to be a what do I want? Key, ha, 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 ho, ho.
Put that on the side. So peace, Miss Shirla.
She said, yes, she created a battle plan for 2023 to expand her business, make time to travel, and be spiritually grounded and partake in various investment opportunities.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, here he comes.
All right.
As an answer.
Yes, my house did a battle plan for 2023. I missed the mark on many of my personal goals, admittedly. I did more winemaking and
Wow.
much more consistent artistically regarding study and streaming.
Nice.
So, you know what? And I'm so glad. Thank you, Master Manuelite, for sharing that, because that will happen or may happen. But as you get used to like hitting your mark or you're being more intentional and also not being as grandiose, because you're not making those type of errors, you will hit most of your mark. But like, there probably takes, some sort of timing to like get your rhythm down to do it, because I have to admit, like, I missed the mark on some of my things. Like, so I'll share like one of my I think I had it under education examples, was to read more. And so I had a whole list of books that I would read every month. And, I'm a reader, like, I do like to read, and it doesn't take long to finish a book. And I think I only read two of the books. Actually, one of the books that I finished wasn't even on the list. So really, I only did one. And so some of that was not necessarily drilling down enough to plan so that I can make sure that I even had the time. So I realized like where my mistakes were in year one, because I have a 5-year battle plan. And so it's like, what am I doing in each year to get to certain goals? And we have like examples of like, you can share like what are the differences between like those multiple year battle plans and like how you move through.
Sure. Yeah, before I get into that, even listening to you and thinking about the value of writing these plans down, whether you're writing them, with pencil and paper, or whether you're using some digital platform to track and keep your goals. It made me think scripturally of write the vision and make it plain, right? Which is, I think it's Habakkuk. Is it Habakkuk 2? 2 and 2, I think it's 2, but it just talks about, the value or the instruction of writing things down and making it plain so that you kind of, what to go back to, where your mark is, even if you're missing the mark, which is what I know you were talking about, and Master Menelik is acknowledging. Having that plan, one, especially this time of the year, you're reconciling, well, what did I get done versus what didn't I get done?
Right.
How can I close out this year really strong? What should I prioritize that must be done this year in order to maintain momentum leading into the following year? So that just, some of the value that I thought, we should touch on as it pertains to why it's essential to write this down.
Mm-hmm.
And not just worry, not just focus on keeping it in your head and having these, it would be nice to get this thing done. So just thinking about, I'll work from the 5 year to the 1 year. And I'm really only going to touch on 5, 3, and 1. But the 5 year plan is, of course, the more long-term focus. So if you envision it almost as a like if you can zoom in and out of an image, right? This would be the treetop, like really panned out view of what your life looks like in whatever the key focus areas you may identify for yourself. So where do I want to be with I know I see Margie Marie has education with a star, and I know Ema Sequoia also touched on education goals. So it's like, I'll just zoom out there. So what do my education goals look like in 5 years? It may be I want to complete a bachelor's degree. I want to complete a master's, or there's a particular certification course that I know I must have because it's not necessarily in my 5 year education goal, but maybe it's in my 5 year business goal that I'm providing a particular service. And that service requires me to have a particular certification. So you can see the interplay between your key focus areas. So you want to be able to look at where you want to be in 5 years and then work backwards to say, well, what do I need to accomplish in year 3 in order to get there? And what do I have to do come 2024? That actually also helps you to get it done in 2024 because it's tied to something really valuable 5 years from then, right? In 2029. So being able to look at those connections is essentially what we're going to do. And then that 3 year, of course, is that midpoint. And you're essentially doing the same thing, focusing on the types of decisions you need to consistently make, and then tying that again back to the 1 year, which is the more short term, what do I know I need to get done, and breaking that out even month to month.
Mm-hmm.
What does saving, I know Ema Charlotte touched on travel. So what do finances need to look like for travel in 2024? How much of that money have I amassed by the end of 2023? That helps you to set a financial goal, right? That's connected to travel. So that may dictate whether the trip to Tanzania needs to be moved to the following year, because maybe you'll only have enough for a trip somewhere else coming in the coming years. So it just helps to give you somewhere much less desirable, because Tanzania has been on my list for so long. Just sharing one of my goals. So that, I hope that helps to give you a sense of what the difference would be between those 5 year or much more long-term goals versus the 3 and 1 year goals.
Yeah. And I think like another point to remember is that as you're doing that, as you're looking at like your grass, I was going to say grass, treetop, and going down to the roots, you'll notice that some of those areas, those key areas, will also like interplay with or intersect with one another. So, like we talked about before, like your finances and your relationships can be related to your health. Obviously, like your business and your finances are going to be related. Your relationships will be related to your business. Education is going to be related to everything, because like
Right.
basis of what that's the root of what you'll have to do to get anything done, is to make sure that you have knowledge of a particular thing. So like, let's say you want to, in the health part, like you want to learn how to, eat better. So like maybe it's learning about different herbs, learning how to cook raw, learning how to prep raw meal.
Don't turn on the oven. That's or the stove. That's step one in learning how to cook raw.
Cook raw. Maybe diving into like, different methods of meal prep, Ayurvedic meals and things like that. So like there would require, and if you have no knowledge of it, that will require education, right?
Mhm.
I think you mentioned something. It made I kind of jotted it down. It's like, so the first thing is like take the inventory, right? What do you have? What skills do you have versus what skills you need to accomplish that thing? And then what is the plan for acquiring the skills that you need to get to reach the ultimate goal? Well, step one, do not.
Do not cook. Right. Do not cook raw food. That's step one.
Like take that part out. Like learn how to cook raw food. That and for those of you who would like to learn to cook raw food, you can visit sovereigneats.com, or you can reach out to Sovereign Eats on YouTube, because she has so many different
Yes.
videos on how to prep raw food, and other plant-based
I'm
dishes.
not going to read that one because I'll let you read. Well, first,
I'm not.
Margie
Read
Marie.
it.
Nope, because I'm gonna you. I don't think you'll get the jokes. I'm gonna. Well,
I
so
am.
Margie Marie says, answer yes. I had help with my battle plan for 2023. It changed over the course of the year. Yeah, the latter half of 2023's themes were surrounding travel, cleaning, and clearing out mind, body, house, and education slash professional development. Thank you for sharing. And then Chibuya says,
You can't cook raw. It turns into what's called a controlled substance. Don't eat it though. And I would say to those people who do decide to do that, there are many substance abuse programs that you can that would help you. Yeah.
I'm so immature. I'm sorry. Don't do it. Just whatever that meant, don't do it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Take an inventory. What skills do you have versus what you don't have? So you'll notice like there's a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself. This is why it's important to write these things down. And I think the taking inventory and then educating yourself are really key. So like let's take like one out of the bunch out of this, and keep in mind, like we said, they're all related. So what about like finances? So let's say you have a finance goal, and we'll keep it really simple. Oh goodness. So you want to build months. We're not
Your
singing
slides
about
are rebelling. They're
finances.
rebelling against you, huh? It's okay. They
And
look
I
great.
just bigged up AI.
They look great. Let's roll with it.
AI
Yes.
said, not today, sister. We're doing what we want to do. We're doing it for ourselves. That's exactly what happened. Finances. So let's say you want to build 9 months of emergency funding. So just like some bare bones things that you can do. So year one. So you want to make sure you have 3 months stash. Then by year two, you can have 6 months stash, and then so on and so forth until year five, you actually have more than 9 months. And depending on how well you get at kind of tailoring your plan as each year goes on, you can even up whatever your goal is. So like maybe by year three, you have actually 1 year because you've kind of learned through education and like through increasing different skill sets to be able to amass a certain amount of funding to, have your stash or your hideaway or your fund, your emergency slash rainy day fund. And so, how are some things that we're going to do this? So, remember, we said you got to take inventory. So, in this case, like when we're talking about finances, it would be to create a budget. Like you, and in order to create your budget, you have to figure out, like, well, what do I actually have, right? So you would then determine your allocation of funds. Like, so what are you spending money on? And depending on, I'm not sure if all banks do this, but depending on what financial institution you use, they send you your statement at the end of the month, or you can actually see it real time, like what you're actually spending on. They'll actually give you a pie chart. One of the institutions that I use gives a pie chart that I can see real time, and it says you have this much in miscellaneous, this much in gas and automotive. Your credit card statement will do that as well. So you can kind of take inventory of all of those things to see, like, where's your money going? Because how many times do we sit, and it's like, where's the money going? What do I have to show for it? I'm making XYZ and I don't even know where it's going. So take inventory, take stock of what you're actually doing with your funds.
And that inventory and even creating a budget is aligned with that assessment, right? That really honest assessment that you'll have to do. And in so doing, what you'll realize is, because you're paying attention, because you're looking at those statements, or you download a finance management app that'll pull from all of your accounts, right? You give your login information and they're able to kind of pull everything together and help paint the picture of your finances across the board. Because you have that, one, it helps you remain focused on whatever your financial or life goals and objectives are, but also, two, it helps to manage stress. Because let's say you are thrust into a reality where you lose employment for a time. Your natural inclination, right, would be to stress. I'm not working. So I'm not working may trigger your brain to think, I have no money coming in. But remember, we're connecting this to health and well-being. But then you realize, well, wait, no, I may not have income for this period of time, or my income may be cut drastically because I may have some passive streams of income. But I have made I have been a responsible steward over my finances. So I don't need to stress. I don't need to, tailspin into depression, or into, thinking that I have to take the first job, whether I really want it or not. But you can breathe a little bit and maybe just be able to prioritize the other things that are on your battle plan, because you have some additional time. So it's like, I want to be sure that that when you all that are listening, you realize how much of a lifesaver, right, and a stress manager having a battle plan actually is, when you're using it, even if you're not fully meeting the goals, but just being able to have that anchor you to what's really happening with you, and in this instance, maybe your money.
Right. And for that, so another step that you could take is, not only looking at, like, into the job, right? Like, what other positions might be out there. Then that kind of goes back to, what skills do I have? What actual tangible or intellectual skills do I have that can put me in a different place? Also, what are the debt programs out there? Are there programs that will actually help me manage debt or to relieve myself of debt?
Mm-hmm.
One of the main, a very well known one is loan forgiveness. So if you're eligible, and everybody isn't, so that's why it's, like, important to know, like, to educate yourself and look at, like, what are all the programs that are out there that you could actually use to help relieve some of the strain on your budget,
Right.
and reallocate some of those funds. And that brings us to shifting our expenses accordingly, right? So I think I wanted to have a story, but instead I'll use an example. I'll use an example. So for instance, I'll take it back to like, oh, where's all of my money going? So like coming from an area like New York City, we know like the go-to a lot of times is like, I'll just grab something. We grab our coffee in the morning, we grab whatever, breakfast item, a muffin or whatever it is in the dawning. And then we may grab lunch, sometimes it's a late lunch. And being in a city that's densely populated and really expensive, that can take a toll on the wallet. So like then at the end of the strong week, then we sit back and it's like, I spent $50 to $100 on food. So then that's you taking a toll or taking inventory of like where your money's going. So what can you do to shift those expenses? Well, I can think about the time that I use so that I can create or my time management, and figure out times to go to buy the items or buy the raw items, go to the grocery
Right.
and pack my lunch, make my own food, which does end up being a lot cheaper because you're spending less. Because if you, depending on what type of commuter you might be, so and this is regardless of any city that you live in. So if you live in a city that has public transportation, or you have to drive to work, that can actually give you a little bit more funding to use, or be less of a strain on your wallet because you already are having that added expense of commuting, whether it be you driving and you have to spend money on gas, whether it is the Uber every day or every couple days, whether it is, the train or the bus or the ferry for those of you
Mhm.
who live in places that have a lot of water around, or you have to cross a body of water to get to where you're going. So yeah, so those are some of the things that you have to think about when it means shifting your expenses accordingly. What are the things that I need versus the things that I want versus the things that are not even really important.
Right. Or even an impediment to the goals that you're setting for yourself. Because you may think, oh, I'm still going to grab my coffee, right? I'm still going to stop at whatever that coffee shop is, or I'm still going to order, however much takeout or food on the street. But that may come at a cost to some of your health goals. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, because like when you're thinking that you may, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'll splurge here. But because you have this thematic blueprint for how you want your life to flow, you'll begin to see the interconnectivity of all of these items. And then you may decide, well, you know what? Maybe I can afford that $7 coffee every day, but this is going to deter me from my health goals.
Right.
And so therefore it's not as important
Mm-hmm.
for me, you know?
Right. Yeah. Because maybe the daily intake of caffeine needs to be reduced or eliminated altogether, so that
Mhm.
you can afford your health goal. Or not even the daily intake of caffeine, depending on what coffee shop you go to, maybe the daily intake of 4 pumps of sugar, is not
Right.
necessarily what you need. And it can be like maybe you just take it black, which
Yeah.
you can do at home with a good thermos. Dun-dun-dun. Oh wait, I think we clicked at the same time. Says, yes, some of those poor spending habits are reaction to poor planning in other areas. We buy cheap comfort meals sometimes due to disappointment in other
Yeah.
areas. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. That is true. And so even with the battle plan, it helps you to see where you are winning, right? Where you may have small successes, so that instead of looking at the disappointments, you can focus on the things that you have to celebrate. And
Mhm.
it could be really small milestones. If you're working on publishing a book, perhaps you got the first page done, and that's a major thing because you were putting it off for so many years, or it was this thing that you thought was so unattainable for so long, that getting that first page, maybe you don't go celebrate by having that cheap comfort food, right? That has to be the key.
Or let's just be honest, or the drinks after work, or whatever
Or
it
the
is,
drinks after
or
what?
the
Yes.
happy hour. Let's call it what it is. Like
Yeah.
those, I was gonna say strongly, those weekly or those happy hours every strong or twice a month or whatever, they can get expensive as well.
Yeah.
And that also can relate to the health. Maybe certain beverages of which some imbibe are not necessary. Maybe those are the things that we can do away with.
Right.
So, and then just the final thing, but it doesn't have to be the final thing, but one of the important things, the last things that we did want to focus on is like educate yourself. So this kind of becomes like the first and the last, like educate yourself, because even when you're creating a budget, you have to educate yourself on how to create a budget. So it does go full circle. So you definitely want to educate yourself, learn about investments maybe. So as you're, going through those different plans. So I know Imahiri, you mentioned like the job. So it's like, what kind of skills do you have to maybe get another gig, or another or an additional gig, not just even changing the one that you had, but maybe do you have the time to pick up another gig, or have a side hustle, or whatever you want to call it, something that can grow into a business and even become passive income. How do you do that? Do you have the skills to do that? What skills do you need in order to do that? Do you need to create or find, I'm sorry, do you need to find courses that will help you learn about investments?
Right.
And what is crypto versus NFT versus stocks and bonds, mutual funds, like learning all of that information. Thank you, Chief.
Yes. Oh, that's on LinkedIn, huh?
Yes, I
Okay.
said.
Yeah. Got confused for a
We
second
having
too.
technical difficulties this evening. It's like the last show, and it's like everything's gonna mess
Hmm.
up.
Well, this slide is beautiful.
Right?
Thank you, AI, for
This
being kind.
slide is beautiful. Right. It's just a tiny bit tiny.
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Just zoom in. Just zoom in.
So, yeah, so that's what we want to make sure that you do. So I'll recap, some of the things that we talked about. So it's, first of all, it's what are those two questions that you ask yourself. What do I want for my life? And then what will I do for my life? Taking yourself from just thinking to actual action, right? Then it's thinking about your focus areas. And it doesn't necessarily, like, maybe what you want to accomplish in a given amount of time, it doesn't have to be all of those examples that we listed. It maybe can be one or two or three, but it's what are those focus areas that you want to hone in on, and then ask those two questions for each of those focus areas. And then as you drill down, you want to figure out what you have to educate yourself on. Take inventory. What are your skills versus what you have versus what you need. What is the plan to get them? And all of that starts to integrate itself into all the different areas of your plan. And you may see, maybe I just want a health plan, right? Or maybe I just want a financial plan. But then you'll see, like, all of those different aspects will bring in some other thing. So maybe it's, I want to make sure that I have passive income. Like, and I'll share, that was one of mine, making sure that I'm able to have passive income in 5 years. And the reality is, like, nothing is just passive because it's passive, unless you win the lottery or something, which is gambling. But even still, you have to expend some sort of energy to get there. There will have to be some sort of action and activity and active working before it becomes passive. So one thing is, creating courses, creating online courses. So in the beginning, there is the work, the education into, what programs, what software is out there, what learning and development tools do I need in order to create a course? What are the skills that I have in order to be able to instruct people? What is my expertise? What is the information that I have that I can easily and comfortably extend to all of you? And then creating, how can I package that? And so making a plan to do all of that in order to get to, now I have, maybe in year 3, I have a course that I can, like, set out online and just, And it may not be like just let the big bucks start rolling in, right? Now I'm on fries. It's gonna have to be a okay, learning about ads, putting ads out there, so that it does start to gain momentum, and then eventually, as it gains momentum, it does become a form of passive income. Even teaching, right? Like if you want to, if you're adjunct, and a lot of people do this, you can do asynchronous courses. So there's an effort at the beginning, creating everything that you need, and then uploading it on whatever institution, the institution that you're doing, you're an adjunct at, and then you're able to collect on your work. So the passive, and I had to learn that, because in my head, when I heard passive income, I'm like, I just do something. I don't have to do nothing. I want to do something and not do nothing. And it's like, no, that's not
Well, you have
that's
to
not how
do
it works. You
something
have to do
first.
something.
And then you may also have to do things to maintain that momentum, but in some instances, and others, it is truly a set it and forget it. And it would be up to you, to each of you, to really to do the learning, right? To educate yourselves and to research to see which streams of income can potentially be more passive than active over the long term, and maybe that helps you make some decisions. As I think about the the totality of what we're sharing, it's really taking what may be abstract, right? Those, it would be great to have, it would be great to do, it would be fantastic to see, or I wish I didn't have this much credit card debt. So the great wishes, that's the abstract. But then by creating a battle plan and being really intentional about goal setting, goal and objective setting, for that matter, and sticking to those timelines and making sure things are measurable, that's how you get to the concrete. That's what helps to solidify it. And like we said, everything may not stick, and it all may not carry fully over, and at the end of the year you're high-fiving yourself, or or willfully another, saying I got it all done. But rather, you know what, I got many of these things done. There are some things that, I realized this isn't even as much of a priority as I thought. So I can take it off of the list completely. Or I know some have shared in the chat that their goals or objectives shifted throughout the year based on whatever life changes there may be, or based on whatever instruction is being given to pivot in a different direction, or to pivot, period, right? Because that means to go in a different direction, to make those shifts and changes. So even with it being concrete, it's not like there's no wiggle room, but it just helps to anchor you and keep your focus on what you truly are focused on, and not necessarily your employer or your relatives, or even
Right.
your children for that matter, but rather where you or your house needs to go in order to get to a particular goal, because then those that are connected to you benefit anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? As you were talking, you said something that made me think, like, and if you get you maybe you're thrown a curveball, like this evening, with our sound issues and our audio visual and all of the above. Redirect. Take a step back, breathe, and redirect, as needed, or reset as needed,
Mhm.
because it will that will happen. I think it was when you said, like, what's needed for your house and your family,
Right.
because life changes. That's what you said, and it made me think, like, yeah, because life changes may also create a curveball for you, um,
Yeah.
where you'll have to take a reset.
And having that plan, you don't have to scramble, right? It
Yeah.
goes back to the, you lose your job, or you lose one of your streams of income, but you're not thrown into a complete, what do I do? Right? You're not pulling from the air. You already have something that you're moving with, and you have a sense of how you can maintain that momentum even when a shift happens. So it's like, that's why we could laugh, because there were contingencies. And yeah, we knew what the slide said, because AI didn't, create them where we don't know what's on the slide. So you can have more fun when life
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah, there was a preparation. This is what's going to be said. This is what we're going to go over. So if
That's
the
right.
slides work, we're just going to talk it out.
Right.
So I think also the visual part is just the fun part because you can also catch True Health Live on podcast. So for those of you listening to this episode, to get context into the shenanigans and the laughs, please go on over to YouTube and catch us on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces, our beautiful faces on your screens. So that is our show. Thank you, Envy and Kira Eden. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I do want to mention, like, this season has been quite hectic. We have like three co-hosts, and our one of our co-hosts like wasn't able to necessarily join us every time, but Anushka is still here, and she'll be coming when we come back in season 4. And so this being their season finale, I do want to like kind of bring everything back around and remind everybody of all the materials that we've put out and the things that are available. Before I do that, I will go to the chat. Mr. Manuel says, staying in the abstract will have you thinking market trends move according to your work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't. So you'll have to be able to be flexible. But again, like you said, Immaculate, when you have that plan, then you can go and figure out and have a more practical plan and pragmatic plan for redirecting or resetting as you need to. Maximilian like also says many are surprised when they take years to act on an idea, and when they finally act on it, they only have antiquated strategies. Now you're surprised that no one is buying your VHS infomercials.
Yes, yeah, that was yeah, yeah. It's you miss the wave, right? The momentum of that moment is gone, and so being intentional and setting those plans, and even maybe recognizing where my window's really slim and I need to shift my plan a little bit in order to not wind up selling VHS tapes. That's
You know,
hilarious.
I was like, selling mixtapes because I'm still trying to. Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
So you know what? I know we're wrapping up. I saw something on I don't want to say the news. I saw something where there was an electronics company that made an announcement they'll no longer be selling DVDs and Blu-rays. And I thought it might have been like the BB store, right? Um and so okay.
But who was buying? Well, people still have the device to use them. So,
Right, but
and
they will
some
no
people,
longer be
and some
right.
slow to move. They're like they don't want so much technology and radio waves or whatever in their houses. I don't know, like some
Well, yeah, but with the
we
advent of streaming platforms, it makes sense that,
it
because the question that I had was who was even buying them? But clearly
oh,
not enough people were. So now it's like they're no longer going to. Could there be a connection? I don't know. I don't know. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. That's but this has been a pleasure. We covered a lot this season. Yeah, yeah, we
did
did.
we did like we did like I see like in this second part there was a lot of references that we were able to go back to for things. So there was almost like a progression or evolution of each topic area, like as we went, you know, from show to show. And so like anything, definitely send us an email at truehealthlive@gmail.com if you have show suggestions or topic suggestions. You can also go to deidreselly.com and put in information there if you want to have a chat. She said
Oh.
people still use them on boats, yeah, tour buses and planes because satellite signals can be slow.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what? And I was also gonna say, like, I'll be honest, like when DVD and Blu-ray came out, it took a minute to disconnect from the VHS. It was like, I know this works. And maybe that is my Gen X mind. It's like this
I don't know
I
what
don't
you're
know what
talking
that
about. she's talking about.
I don't know her
I don't
either.
know.
You know.
I don't trust it. I don't
I
trust
don't
it.
know
What's
her
this
either.
round silver thing? Give
It's
me
like,
my black rectangle. Right.
right.
Tape on the inside.
And
Okay.
I still have devices that can play DVDs and CDs because this makes me think of, we have talked about prepping, right? And preparation.
That's true.
If SHTF, if it hits the fan and there is no, signal, and you need something, people do need something to wind down and to relax, and you need music, in those cases, unless you learn, how to make the music. What are you going to use if there's no radio waves? I mean, honestly, if there's no radio waves, most likely there's no power. But in the event that you have a generator and you want to use that for playing, like, music that you actually have.
Yeah, and even
It's
censorship. That
for
idea of censorship. There are some movies that you are not going to find being streamed, right? So there's value in making that investment, or maybe downloading them and saving them digitally.
that.
But if you have the space, then
Load all of your movies and music on
there you
USB.
go. Right. There you
Hmm.
go. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because then it also consolidates. Remember, we have talked about decluttering, which
Yes.
can also be a goal on your battle plan.
Yeah. But the typo.
You know what? I think you have a point. I think you have a point because people love vintage stuff. They love it. How much? How much? I won't share that. I had a story. And I was
I
like,
thought that said
don't
make the
do it.
music with your mouth biz,
I
but
had a thought.
it
It
did
was like,
not.
at the same time, I was like, don't do that. Don't do
Mm-mm.
that.
No, that's a little something different.
Make music with your mouthpiece. I don't know
That's what
how.
I thought it said.
That's what it does. Say,
That is
it's a
not
music with your mouthpiece.
wisdom. Why? I'm not. Never mind. Oh yeah, that's what it says. Mhm. Keep on rolling. Keep on, keep on rolling. Just keep on rolling.
So make sure you.
I'm not
I
this
don't know.
mature. I am not this mature. I
I
like
know.
to laugh. I'm holding it together. Like,
Mm.
okay, so let's see. So that well, if you haven't gotten a copy of Spiritual Guide for Overcoming Seven Mental Ailments, please do so. You can download a copy of this text from Amazon. Spiritual Guide for Scriptural Guide. I can't even say the title of my own book. I'm so flustered right now. Um, Scriptural Guide to Overcoming Seven Mental Ailments actually delves into really common life challenges and how we can use scripture and a myriad of tools to navigate and overcome those challenges. Thank you for that. We should we should be news anchors.
You can
It'd be great for the bloopers, okay?
right. You can also grab a copy of 10 Points in Public Health, a free copy. I still consider it as new. Get your copy today at djsully.com. You can even message me, and you can find me on all social media platforms at djsully.
Well, we have our audience. We have our niche.
Well, you know, there is a such thing as medicinal marijuana, right? I'm not saying that. You know what? That's everybody.
You said that
Thanks
so
for
like you were gonna redeem us with you know.
I'm just saying because
What
it
did
is a
you
thing. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We love that you can. We love that we're having fun. I think the last episode is
do?
always the
We
most
always
fun.
have a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's because we know it's like break, break time. So, but it's not really a break. Going directly into Battle Planet. So make sure you do yours too. If you have any questions or any thoughts about the battle planning or any of the topics that we've discussed this season, definitely make sure you drop a comment because y'all went left, so I have to go left again to change the direction. I have to go left again. So make sure you leave a comment, and we'll definitely get back to you.
I'm so confused. Can't we go right when they go left and still that will change the direction? No?
I mean, but if we go left, we'll eventually and keep going left and started. So we'll make sure that we're back where we to be. If we go right, then we're just going someplace else.
Master Better
Wait a minute.
This has been a pleasure.
Peace, everyone. Have a good night.
Peace.